Okay, good afternoon, colleagues. It's 3 o'clock, so can we start our meeting? Apologies for absence.
We have no leader.
Thank you. Minutes of the meeting on the 29th September have been circulated. Those okay? Sign those. Urgent business, just to do things for me. Well, congratulations to Brendan on getting the position perfectly. So he's going to keep us on our best behaviour from now on. Welcome to Councillor Carl Sweeney and Nicola to present the report. Obviously there's interest in today's meeting, and I must say it's not a good report, I'm afraid, Carl. But, so we'll take the Schools Places Organisation report first and then do with you if you don't mind waiting. Okay, exclude the public, can we agree that? Any declarations of interest before we get into the meeting? And if not, we've got the School Places Organisation report from the Director of Children and Families, which has been circulated. In addition, I just want to check members have all seen the additional emails that have gone round on the Save This Children's Federation from the Secretary of the ROI sent one round in advance of a meeting we held this afternoon with myself and David, and also one from the views of the school staff that were sent around. So all members seen those emails? Okay, thank you. So, you want to introduce it, James? Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. This report makes a recommendation to Cabinet to move to a statutory consultation period on a proposal to close Shevington Community Primary School. And this follows a significant period of time where we've been monitoring levels of surplus places in the area and working with the 3 schools in the Federation to address the pressures that creates. In April this year, we asked Cabinet for approval to formally review school place provision due to our significant concerns from this monitoring of low pupil numbers and the impact of that on school viability. And following that, Councillor Platt considered a report in May and approved a recommendation for us to carry out pre-consultation to consider a potential planned reduction in school place provision and to consider all possible alternative long-term solutions. We started that pre-consultation process on the 2nd of June, and the process that we undertook is set out from paragraph 1.8 in the report through to 1.12. The Council, as you know, has a statutory duty to ensure the sufficiency of school places in the borough, and that includes ensuring that good quality school places are provided where needed. As Cabinet members are fully aware, it's set out in our organisational strategy and the deal for the future. Schools are integral to our integrated service provision because we know how valuable schools are as a community asset, and therefore we don't arrive at the recommendation in this report lightly and without serious consideration, analysis and exploration of alternatives. We also expected significant community interest in this pre-consultation, Leader, because of the importance of schools to the community, and we have indeed received significant individual and group interest with over 650 responses to the questionnaire, and they've been set out in section 1.10. We've also provided a summary of the main themes from that consultation and the responses in there in section 2 of the report, alongside a response from officers to the issues that are raised, and there's more detail available in Appendix 3. Despite the far-reaching pre-consultation and the level and range of responses that we've received, that we've worked through, no viable alternative solution to reducing the level of surplus places has been found. And the fundamental issue that we have across the Federation of Schools in Shevington is that there is a very significant level of surplus places across those 3 federated schools, particularly focused on Shevington Community Primary, that currently operates with over 50% of its places surplus across the school, and Shevington Vale with 35% of its places surplus. And our projections for the next 3 years, taking into account the birth rate, trends in parental preference, and housing developments and the pupil yield expected from those developments, doesn't indicate a reversal in that position, and we've set that out in Appendix 1. We have to plan for school places for future need, taking into account parental preference and projected pupil numbers. One of the issues that has been raised during the consultation around the housing developments, specifically around housing developments in the Standish area, there's a specific infrastructure appraisal available around those developments in Standish, And in that particular example, we know that there's sufficient capacity to expand in that area to accommodate any pupil yields, meeting parental preferences for families in Standish. Schools, as Cabinet are aware, are funded nationally on a per pupil basis. So in terms of the financial position that's set out in the report, that isn't an impact on the council's budget in any way. This is purely ring-fenced school budgets. So they're funded on that per pupil basis, and the financial impact of the surplus places that we've set out for Cabinet across the Federation is an unsustainable and increasing deficit that reaches £580,000 by 2019-20 and continues to grow. We've set out in the report for Cabinet the significant implications that that financial position places on the viability of the schools across the three in the Federation. The impact financially on all of the schools as well of an ongoing deficit position. The school being unable to operate with those resource implications, staffing implications, the ability to fund appropriate resources for the children in the school and across the Federation. And if nothing was to be done about that, all schools across the borough would essentially be in a position of subsidising the schools across the three in the Federation of Shevington as those resources reduce. It's also important to let Cabinet know that the significance of the surplus places that we're setting out and the financial impact of that means that just implementing the recommendation that we're making in the report of reducing from 3 to 2 schools post any consultation wouldn't entirely reduce and remove the deficit position across the Federation. So on purely financial terms, the modelling would suggest the need to go further, but we're really confident through the work that we've been doing with school leadership and with governance and the level of engagement we've had with the community that we can make a 2-school model financially sustainable across the Federation to safeguard the quality of education for the children in the area. So for these reasons, Leader, my advice is that we need to move to consult on the closure of one of the schools in the Federation, as we have most confidence in this model achieving a sustainable future for the schools and the quality of education. We've also set out alternative options that have been risen through the consultation in the report at paragraph 4.7. In addition to that, we've assessed the capital implications of the different scenarios if we were to move to a 2-school model and the options that we have for that, and they're set out in section 5. Again, it's important to raise that these capital costs are one-off costs that will ensure that we can support the appropriate transition arrangements to the model that we're proposing, as opposed to the ongoing revenue implications of the budget deficit that we've set out across the Federation. So in conclusion, Leader, it's not financially viable, in our opinion, for the schools to maintain the status quo. We need to take action to ensure the viability and sustainability of the schools in the Shevington Federation. And even at this pre-consultation stage, even the most creative of potential solutions that have been identified, beyond the one that we're recommending, are not viable, in our opinion. And a reduction to 2 schools is the most feasible way to secure the future of the Federation. There are, of course, different options for us in setting out a reduction to 2 schools, and we've set those out in the report. The option to close Millbrook and transfer the children to Shevington Vale or Shevington Community Primary would cause maximum disruption for more children and families due to the numbers of children on roll at Millbrook. And it would also incur significant capital costs to achieve that. There are fewer children at Shevington Community Primary, and the majority of children who attend Shevington Vale are more local to the school. And Appendix 5 that's been made available for Cabinet is restricted because of personally identifiable information in there, but shows that flow of pupil numbers in terms of where children live who attend the schools. So we recommend to Cabinet that you approve recommendation to publish statutory notice to consult on the closure of Shevington Community Primary with effect from September 2017, with children transferred to Shevington Vale, and to extend Shevington Vale as detailed in section 5.1 of the report. Cabinet would of course need to consider the feedback following that statutory consultation process at a future meeting to determine a proposal. And just in conclusion, Leader, obviously any change to school place provision needs to be managed really carefully. We're really conscious that this is a significant matter. And should a future meeting of Cabinet resolve to carry out the proposal contained in the report report following the consultation. We will work hard with the school to ensure all children, especially those with special educational needs and disabilities, are fully supported with a detailed transition plan to minimise disruption to their education and learning, as well as some of the wider steps that we might need to make in terms of those transition arrangements around travel to school, routes and other additional issues that may arise through that process. Thank you.
Thank you, James. I think whatever the results of today's meeting, I think we should recognise the work done by the Shevington Federation and the contribution they've made and the improvement to education in Shevington as part of the borough. Obviously there's been a noticeable change with that, so I thank the work of the staff and the head for that particular work they've done, and obviously whatever we do is not a reflection on that particular contribution. James, I know you said it quite clearly, but I just wanted to just get this firmly on record. You've considered the potential changes in housing in Standish and the impact that will have not only on Standish schools, but you believe in the current numbers that we can foresee coming from that they can all be accommodated mainly in Standish schools would have no impact on this decision here in Shevington.
That's right, Leader. So we need to take account of parental preference, obviously, and in doing that, the particular developments in Shevington, in Standish, sorry, have had an infrastructure appraisal set out, which includes school provision in that area for those additional housing developments. And we've done an appraisal of the schools in Standish to make sure that there's either capacity or future capacity to be able to manage those additional numbers, and we're confident that that's the case.
And the second is a very significant point I think you made was about the cost, and that schools are working with funding on a pupil basis. So if we continue to maintain empty places in parts of the borough, then the total amount of money that is available for all Wigan students in all schools is negatively impacted, because clearly there's only so much money to go around, and if we're paying in empty places, then that has an impact right across every school in the borough.
Yeah, that's right, Lee. So funded on a per pupil basis through the dedicated schools grant, and that's how the funding formula works from national government. So essentially, yes, any ongoing maintenance of that level of surplus places and the deficit budget that was set out will be subsidised essentially by other schools across the borough.
Thanks, James. So, I'll open it up. Jeremy, sorry.
Okay, thank you, Leader. Thank you, James, for the report. Obviously, as portfolio for children and young people, can I also move? Can I move with the report with the recommendation that, if agreed, we really do need to work with the families and the community to make arrangements for practical transition and support for all children, and I think you mentioned as well, James, for those in particular with SEND. So that's both all children, educationally and pastorally. This would support all children in their transition, including working with other council departments, I think such as highways, I think, which has been noted through the consultation, and discussions that we've had with the various organisations, so such as highways, to look at infrastructure, highway infrastructure and specific routes to school. As I said, as highlighted in the concerns raised. I think just to reiterate that the decision to get to this stage has not been taken lightly, and again, thanks for taking that up in the report, James. It's been carefully considered with the involvement, as James pointed out, with all consultees, as detailed in the frequently asked questions within the report. And for me, as portfolio holder for children and young people, to rest assured that we'll continue to work with all key stakeholders within this process and the community if the report is passed within this next stage of consultation.
Any other member?
Just picking up on what Councillor Fox just said, because one of the particular concerns that's come across very strongly is pupils safety to and from their existing site or from the home to any alternative schools. So I think we need to make sure that we work closely with our highways colleagues to ensure that and give some guarantee that if this takes place, that's what we're going to be positively delivering. Because I think we all know how emotive it is when you start talking to children as young as 4, having to walk along a busy highway. We want to make sure that road safety is a paramount issue when dealing with this. I know from my own experiences of school closures in my ward some years ago, that was a primary concern which we addressed and was delivered safely. So can we just make sure, although people may see it as a minor point sometimes, when we talk about educational needs, there's also the educational need of getting pupils from home safely to the school and back. So please make sure that that's looked at.
Thanks, David. We'll certainly pick that up. We've pending any decision that Cabinet made today, we'll make sure we've got a transitional group in operation that includes colleagues from highways and others to make sure that we're planning out those routes to school properly and making any additional investments that we need to secure that, to secure the safety and the transition for children that way. We're also keen to continue, as Councillor Platt said, with the positive engagement we've had from the community involved in that process as well, to make sure that we're getting families' views on how to do that effectively.
Any other member wish to comment on the question? If not, you heard a recommendation from Councillor Platt to accept the report and to work with the community to lessen the impact of the transition arrangements. Can we see all those in favour of that? Okay, thank you very much. So we move on to item 7, which is the Audit and Governance Committee Annual Report. Again, welcome, Carl.
Thank you, Leader, and thank you for the opportunity to come and present this report to Cabinet today. As Chair of Audit and Governance Committee, I'm really pleased actually to be here to present this report, which importantly sets out what the role of the Audit and Governance Committee is, and actually highlights the work that the committee has done during the 2015-16 municipal year. As you'll be aware, the Audit and Governance Committee is a really important component of our Council's governance framework and provides independent scrutiny and supports good governance and strong financial management of public funds. The committee's main function is to provide assurances on the Council's arrangements for governance and risk management, internal control and financial management. And we do this by considering a number of reports throughout the year. In terms of some of those key aspects, section 1 of the report just reinforces really the key role of the committee, which I've already touched on, is around reviewing our governance arrangements, our risk management framework and the Council's financial management processes. Turning to the first section around governance, we considered a number of reports on governance related issues. In particular, we reviewed and approved the annual governance statement, and this statutory document supports the Council's statement of accounts and really outlines how we manage our affairs to deliver high quality services and ensure that the public money is efficiently and effectively spent. We've also undertook 2 reviews of the Council's local code of corporate governance, which is another important aspect of the work we've done. Cabinet will be aware as well of the importance of information governance, particularly as we move to a digital age, and it's really important as a Council we effectively manage digital information, much of it which is sensitive and concerns our residents. So that's a really important part of the committee's work each year, and the committee's pay particular attention to that particular matter. In terms of risks that are outlined in section 2.6, we've reviewed the strategic risk register, and actually one of the things that the committee has recently decided to do is review the strategic risk register more frequently. We did receive it annually. We feel it's important because of the changing nature of the way the Council is delivering its services. It's important that we provide some additional scrutiny, so we'll be reviewing that on a biannual basis going forward. I'm pleased to report that 15-16 the committee were satisfied as well that the Council is operating effective ethics and anti-fraud culture that was in place, because that's a really important part of our work as well, which we also consider through a report of the Chief Internal Auditor each year. Turning to our audit role from section 2.8 of the report, again this really is a key function of our committee. Each year we review and agree the internal audit plan that's presented to us for discussion and approval, and the committee does influence what goes into that particular plan based on some of the key risks that we perceive and we identify throughout the year. That plan outlines a programme of work and that feeds into the annual opinion on the effectiveness of the council's systems of governance, risk management and internal control. So it really is a key document as part of our council's governance arrangements. At the end of the year, we considered Nicola's report, Chief Internal Auditor's report, and we were happy to confirm and agree that there was a high assurance opinion confirming that the council operates an effective internal control environment and governance framework. Section 2.11 highlights that the committee also not only has a role in reviewing the functions of our internal audit, but also works with and reviews the reports of our external auditors, Grant Thornton. And that's a really important part of the governance framework, because that is a third-party, independent and external review of our governance arrangements. And you'll see in the report a number of the items we considered from Grant Thornton. The committee was really pleased to know that Grant Thornton once again issued an unqualified opinion on our financial statements and accounts, and also were able to confirm that the council's arrangements to secure economy, efficiency and effectiveness in the use of resources, that is the value for money conclusion, was also approved, and we were really pleased with that, and reflects the hard work that goes on by council officers in finance and internal audit. In terms of financial management and reporting, we also consider the statement of accounts, and we note the hard work done by our finance teams in challenging circumstances to produce the accounts at what seems to be an ever-increasing pace as a requirement of government standards, and that's going to continue. So the council statement of accounts for 17-18 will need to be published by the end of July 2018. That is very, very challenging, but our team of hard-working officers are up for that and provided assurance that we will get there, but it is incredibly challenging and not necessarily helpful that we're being forced to bring forward those dates, but I know the team will for it. We also consider how the council manages its money, and that includes investments through our review of the Treasury Management Strategy, which we review annually. It's a matter that members take interest in. It's of increasing importance as we look at the implications of Brexit and changes in interest rates and money markets. And members also undertook some training provided by our external advisors, Capita, on treasury management, because it is an incredibly complex area, and we're looking to continue that this year. So in conclusion, Leader, I'm really pleased to have been able to come and talk to you today about the work of the Audit and Governance Committee over the last year. I'm pleased to again that the independent work that we do, independent of the executive, supported by members from across the political spectrum, and indeed our independent members that are appointed to provide additional external scrutiny, means that we're able to present this really good news report to you today, highlighting the work that the council does. And the scope of the committee's work programme that's in the appendix, and the outcomes that I've talked about today demonstrate how the committee fulfilled its terms of reference and made a positive contribution to council's commitment to high standards of governance. I'd like to pay tribute really to the officers that service not only the committee but year round are providing these fantastic outcomes. So a big thank you to our finance colleagues, and of course our internal audit teams that behind the scenes are working year round to provide the environment that enables me to come here today to present some really good news about the work that we're doing. So in conclusion, Cabinet are asked to endorse at the end of the report, and subject to that, this will go to Council on the 2nd of November. Thank you.
Carl, thank you for that very clear and straightforward report. Obviously pleased that overall it's pretty good news that we find you checking out on what we do and on all the councils doing a good job as it should do managing other people's money. Just one couple of points from me. One is obviously we changed the treasury management rules recently because of the issue of interest rates to try and attract at least something on the money that we've got in the bank. But so presumably you went through that as an audit committee and oversaw that, did you?
Yes, we did, Leader. We did consider that, and it was very clear to us about the need to do that, and actually see the benefits of looking at refinancing options, because the time was right for us to do that, and actually delivered some savings in terms of less interest paid in the long term.
You mentioned the value of having the independent members on the committee for the value that they give to you, but I don't know how it's in one sense, but obviously one of the members has not been able to attend much in the past years. It simply he's had particular problems in this period of time. Or do we need to get, make sure that we get somebody who's doing the work of the independent member actually just giving us that separate and different perspective on the work of the committee.
In terms of the independent members, I think you're absolutely right, Leader. In terms of one of the members, the attendance has been quite poor, and we have actually been trying for a couple of years actually to get some refresh the independent members, not only because it's the right thing to do to maintain that independence from the committee, but also to make sure we've got people who are making the right contribution to the work of the committee. I'm pleased to report to Cabinet that actually did some interviews just on Tuesday this week, and so subject to council approval, we've made a recommendation to appoint 2 new members to the Audit and Governance Committee, which I think will go some way to improving the effectiveness of them, because it's time for a refresh anyway.
Well done, Carl, anticipating that. Any other members, any comments on Carl's report? Kevin?
Leader, just to acknowledge Carl is a strong advocate and ambassador for the committee, and the role is outlined, the vital role the committee plays, especially in these financially challenging times. So it's just really to acknowledge the work him and his committee members have done and the role that the committee plays.
Okay, can we then endorse the report, pass it on to council? Again, just going to formally thank Carl and his committee for the work they do on behalf of the council and ultimately on behalf of the public of Wigan. Thank you. And that's it. I think there's 2 items